Welcome to this meeting of the Licensing Subcommittee. The first item on the agenda is the election of chair. Can I call for nominations of chair, please?
I nominate Councillor Una Moulton.
Thank you, Councillor Macon. Is that seconded? Apologies, you're on mute, Councillor Cowper.
I think that was a nod.
I think so. If that's agreed, then I'll hand over to you, Chair.
Thank you, Amy, and welcome to everyone at the meeting. I'm Councillor Una Moulton, and I have two other councillors online here, Councillor Russell Macon and Councillor Pauline Cowper, who are two further members of this subcommittee. I would now like to ask the others to just briefly introduce themselves and to do so as well later on. So I think there's Helen Clark-Bell with the applicant, and Lindsay who is the applicant. We also have Caroline Sharkey, who's the licensing officer, and Guy Bishop, who is providing legal advice to members of the meeting and may also clarify some issues. So anyone else would like to introduce themselves at all?
We've got the DPS, Thomas Granville, who's just joined us, I can see.
Okay.
Yeah, and Rob, who is one of the asset managers of the shopping centre.
Okay. Thank you.
Morning all.
Good morning. I'd also like to give notice that this meeting's being live streamed on the Council's YouTube channel. So be aware that as this is not being held live and is virtually, there may be slight delay on it. Participants will be muted when they're not speaking to reduce some background noise, which I'm sorry, I think you're probably getting from my side at this very moment. And I would also like to advise that if anyone's experiencing difficulties, they should let the clerk know, and you can do that via chat function or going out and contacting them. And in this event, the hearing loses connection and no longer present, we may have to adjourn the meeting, allow a few moments whilst issues can be resolved. And then obviously, if they're not, we would need to reschedule another date. I hope that's all in order. And I would also like to check if there are any declarations of interest from councillors. I do not have one to disclose. No. Thank you for that. I'd just like to inform everybody that the subcommittee will be following the hearing procedure guidelines, which was included in notice packs that have been sent around to all parties and has also been included in the online agenda. But if anyone hasn't received relevant papers, then do please let us know now. Okay, thank you. We have had a meeting as members prior to this hearing, and we have received some legal advice and clarification on the procedures. I'm not sure of any technical issues, but licensing officer, do you have any issues you want at this stage?
Yes, Chair. I'm mindful you've read the paperwork, so I'll just raise up the technical issue that's been highlighted today, and give you a quick summary of the application. Is that okay?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Yeah. So Lindsay Coleman has applied for a new premises license, as members are aware. This application is the site for the premises is a unit in Centre Court Shopping Centre. The applicant has applied for the sale of alcohol for consumption on and off the premises, Monday to Sunday from 10 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. with the premises being open to the public from 10 a.m. until 11 p.m. Monday to Sunday. The premises are located in a cumulative impact area. The technical point that's been raised, Chair, is about the plans of the premises.
Yeah.
And I wanted to just clarify that obviously the application is submitted with a plan, it is correct. unless if the applicant can verify that for us, because they're supplying alcohol on and off the premises, and they've highlighted on the plan where the sales of alcohol will be taking place, and that's inside of the premises. So the plan that's been submitted is correct in this case, unless if they wanted to erect like a bar outside, which is not featured on the plan. So we've accepted the plan as a correct plan,
So-
unless Lindsay can correct that for us if
So
it's
just for me to understand and clarify. Sorry, Councillor.
That's all right.
I
Go
just wanted to sort of clarify and understand it exactly, Caroline. Is it the case that the the sales of alcohol will be on premises, i.e. inside,
Yeah.
and the off sales are simply to take alcohol away from the premises, not to be consumed outside, but to be taken home or somewhere else?
Perhaps Lindsay can clarify that, because obviously if the alcohol is being sold from inside the premises, that's the licensed area. Obviously, if it's been going to be consumed outdoors, consumption is not a licensable activity, but you may wish to consider, the committee may wish to consider how that would impact on the licensing objectives if Lindsay proposes to do that. So perhaps we can ask Lindsay to clarify how the off sales will work.
The off sales are to consume still on centre courts premises, but on outside the building. It's not to take home alcohol.
Okay, so are you going to have some chairs outside?
Yeah, chairs outside.
Okay.
And you're going to do it at the Queen's Road end as well as the Broadway end?
No, just the Queen's Road end.
Right. Okay.
So if you're just outside of the unit in question, opposite the police station, then it runs along there to the back of where Debenhams used to be.
Right. Okay.
And is there an entrance at the back where Debenhams used to be?
No.
No. So that's not proposed at all down that end, an entrance.
No.
So you'd come out just from that unit out.
From the unit, yeah.
Okay.
And in terms of the sale, so just to get this clear, you're basically proposing that internally you buy the alcohol, but you could take it out and drink it, having your steak or one of the sites that is.
Yeah, yes, but we are operating with a table service policy, so you don't go in and pick up a beer and then choose wherever you go. You get served at a table by a waiter or a waitress, whether you're inside or outside.
Oh, I see. So it is table, and is that just during? That's not for just during COVID. There'll be table service irrespective of. Yeah.
Would it be cordoned off in a certain area?
So there are branded barriers that every time that anywhere there's a table, there's a branded barrier to separate it from the pavement outside.
I see. Okay. I mean, the difficulty here is that the committee can't see the extent of what you're proposing outside.
I do have an outside plan because I originally applied for a pavement license, only to be told I didn't need one because it was our land. So I can give you that if you want to see that, if that would be useful.
Display it now.
Yeah, let me just get this up.
But yeah, it would be useful, I think. We were discussing this
you can understand the difficulty that the committee's in. The committee, when considering an application for a premises license, has a statutory requirement that it has to undertake, in the sense that the council must display the application, which it does, and it has, but it needs to show all the licensing plans that there are.
Okay, so
that's part of the consultation process. It's a rather important part of this.
The plan that I have, it's absolutely not that extensive, but when we were applying for a pavement license, we just wanted it to cover as much as we could. So that's kind of what it looks like.
Is that what it looks like, or kind of?
Sorry, yes, but if you ignore can you see my mouse?
Yes.
Yes.
This bit here it doesn't exist, and there's a bit less tables, but generally it's from here all the way down.
Right.
So this is under the colonnade.
Yeah.
Where Debenhams used to be.
Okay.
There's street food trader here, street food trader there, and there's slightly less tables, but generally this is.
Is there a fire exit at this location?
So there's the main doors are a fire exit. There's a fire exit there. Obviously, my plan shows that there's tables.
They just show where the fire exits are.
There?
Yeah.
And there.
Because
And
don't
obviously the
those
front.
have to be kept free from tables and chairs and paraphernalia at all times?
They are kept free from all of that. My plan doesn't reflect. It's not a very good plan. I apologise for that.
Well, the concern I would have is that there's sufficient access for fire and so on.
Yeah, but we've
centre court thing, you know.
So we've had consultation from the fire brigade on this because, and
I don't think that's been in the plan. I don't think that's in this application though. I haven't seen anything from the fire brigade in my.
Oh well, I've had from the fire brigade.
Okay.
So you've had consultation outside this licensing application on?
No, it's within the licensing application.
Oh really? Well, we haven't seen anything at all from the fire
Oh, I've
brigade.
had. Do you want me to get that up as well?
You can if you want to.
I can confirm we've not received any comments from the fire.
No, we haven't.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So I think that's really more to do with fire regulations for you and with the fire brigade, not necessarily for this application.
Okay.
That's fine. Obviously, they haven't raised the representation, which is where we would be.
Yeah, I was just going to confirm that. Yeah. It may be that the way looking at it from the fire regulations, as you say, Guy.
What's the number of outside covers that you would expect, Lindsay?
The number of outside tables is 15.
Okay.
And then otherwise the tables are internally.
Yes.
Yeah, which you've submitted the plans that I've seen. Yeah. Okay.
And then the only other thing I wanted to clarify, Chair, is the applicant has agreed measures with trading standards and Met Police. These are produced on page 33, which could be added as conditions to the license.
Yes.
They've also proposed some measures under section M part of the application, which is produced on page 21 of the agenda. The committee may modify these conditions or accept them to consider them appropriate after hearing all the evidence today. Finally, Chair, it's just for you, for the subcommittee to consider this application and whether to grant the application as applied for, modify the conditions proposed, or reject the application.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, I think we're clear, and I think those clarifications on outside is certainly helpful. It would have been useful, I think, to have had perhaps a clearer plan of the external activity and exactly where those 15 tables are located. That's my only comment, probably. But I don't know if other members have comment on that before we proceed. Russell. You're on mute, Russell. Councillor Macon, you're on mute. Oh, that's better.
Yeah, I've just got a question about access, really, and that is Centre Court itself closes at 7 o'clock, therefore people can't get in after that. How do you propose people to get into the bar? Because it says emergency exit to Queen's Road on here, and emergency exit, in my opinion, is that an emergency exit is supposed to be left clear all the time and not used, unless it's for an exit.
So we do have, obviously we have an entrance in Centre Court, from Centre Court, and we do have the road exit. We close the internal door at 8 o'clock, and we do use the external door. It is still always kept clear, but it is used, yes, as an entrance.
So the external door is what's shown as an emergency exit on here?
Yes.
So people will be able to walk down Queen's Road and in there. Right.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Okay. So I think now we can proceed as I had indicated, and there's an order to be followed on that, which again has been included in the pack. So I'd like to start with the presentation from the applicant.
That's me. So essentially, we obviously wanted to, just to give you a bit of background as to what we are trying to achieve here. I work for the shopping centre, and we wanted to create a space in light of obviously coming out of COVID. I'm sure you're all familiar with the amount of shops that we've lost within the centre. So to create a space that people could use, where we could support local businesses, different street traders in that sense, and an environment where people could come, they could work from there, they could drink there, they can eat food, and it creates that sort of hub and enlivens that Queen's Road space. So what we created was effectively an indoor bar pop-up with outdoor street food. It is a temporary operation at the moment, and hopefully it will be popular enough with the local consumers that we will continue it. We have undertaken quite a lot of measures in order to ensure the safety of the area. Just so you're aware, we've been operating on a TENS license as per advice from the Merton licensing for the last 2 weeks. We have had 2 weeks without incident, and that includes the showing of Wimbledon and the showing of the Euros. We have had extensive meetings with the police and we've agreed to all of their terms. We have door supervisors on every day from 4 o'clock. While there's been sport on, that will then get reduced to Thursdays, Fridays and Saturdays. And there's 2 door supervisors at any time. We have introduced CCTV in all of the areas, including under the colonnade and internally, and in any blind spots in that outdoor seating area as well. And we've done this all in collaboration with the police. Myself and Thomas, his DPS, and some of the security guards that are on site have all undertaken ACT training, so to be aware of any terrorism issues that might come up, and we have continual conversations with Matt from the police regarding any things we might need to put in place. But as it stands, we have enough street furniture and trees that we didn't need to do anything further on that. Our security patrols the area. We also have staff that continually bar staff that continually patrolling the area outside to making sure that the tables are being used and being used in a safe way. They also then follow the Think 25 policy, all of asking everyone for an ID. That's what the door staff do as well. We also have a cleaner who's specifically on site for that area and patrols outside, as well as the staff who manage that space as well, and the street traders who manage their own space too. We have 24-hour security in line with the shopping centre, so everything that happens in the bar is viewed by the centre security and is supported by the centre security. We have all of the signage in place referencing noise. Noise when leaving the premises, we reduce the music at 10:30, and we also close particularly early for because we're not. I know that the word pub keeps getting thrown around, but we're not a pub. It is meant to be a food and drink establishment. The idea is that the two come hand in hand. The food closes slightly earlier than the drink, but as in any place that it would do, we do close considerably earlier than anywhere else in town, with last orders being called at 10:30. Thomas, do you have anything that you want to add from a sort of?
No, I think you pretty much covered all areas. But like you said, so I'm the DPS for. Whoops. Sorry, can you still see me?
Yes.
Yep, into there. Sorry about that. As I said, I'm the DPS for the site. So all staff training have a logbook on site, so everything is thoroughly checked as and when before they start their shift or their first time starting as my company. Because Challenge 25, especially in the Wimbledon area, can be quite prompt in the way that we do see at times potential underage drinkers who want to try and get into establishment, especially during the Euro games. So, for example, because we are a new bar establishment, we are relatively quiet. We may have 2 or 3 tables, but for example, for the games yesterday, we had our max capacity, which was a fantastic feeling. But at the same time, while at the doors, we were able to do ID checks on the door, and anybody who did try, which they weren't able to, would already immediately get evicted from site. Yeah.
Lindsay, do you want to continue?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, this is where I'd probably like Helen, if she can speak on the benefit of it to the town in general. Also touch on a bit of the night safety as well, which I know is quite important in that area.
Yeah. Could you also touch on whether there've been any sort of what I would call lingerers after you know, you've said
Yeah.
you're operating and.
Yeah, so we've been operating for 2 weeks, and one of those, well, actually about 3 or 4 of them were England games. We don't have any lingering people around, actually. We are quite vigilant. Last night we agreed with the police we would have 2. We had 3 members of door staff, but we are quite vigilant. This sort of the clientele that the area attracts it's not the sort of people that are going to be causing a nuisance on the road. And even if they were, we had about 7 or 8 members of staff on last night, plus door staff as well. So, and we take in a lot of the street furniture that we put out every night. So it encourages people to leave. There's not a way for people to linger outside.
Okay, that's useful to know about the taking in of street furniture. Thank you. Thank you. Helen, do you want to carry on? Then we can have questions from.
Yes, thank you very much. I'd just like to sort of give a broader perspective of the contribution that this space is going to offer to the town centre, and in fact has been offering over the past couple of weeks. So those that are aware, the side of the Centre Court Shopping Centre has been really an underutilised facade for 25 years. It's actually quite closed off there. But it's opposite the police station and a children's day nursery only. There's no residential area directly in opposite the Queen's Road side at all. So when the shopping centre is closed and the bus stop isn't busy, this area of town actually can feel quite isolated and desolate, particularly after dark. We have received feedback in the past actually from theatre goers where they're feeling a little bit anxious in this area as they return to the car park after their performance. So coming on to the activation over the last year, we have all understood the importance of pavement licenses, the cafe culture, and having safe socialising places. And town centres across the country are adjusting to the way our spaces are being used by using the pavement outside their premises, and in some cases installing parklets, for example, as Merton is doing. So activating these streets in a well-managed way brings life to town centres, and particularly for this area, creates a little bit of a buzz in that area. In fact, I happened to walk through late one last week, and I actually felt very safe walking along that area, and I was conscious of that it was just because there were people around and lights, and indeed I saw the security staff too. So the business model for Queen's Road is really focused on opening up the space to everyone. It is a quieter location to enjoy some street food with a drink, or even actually just an evening coffee. There's no obligation to participate in loud music and vertical drinking, as it's called. So we are delighted actually that the new owners are taking a fresh new look at the way their building interacts with the town centre and really welcome this approach. Clearly, Centre Court management have taken counsel from the police and the licensing teams and have responded with a strong and positive plan to actively and responsibly manage the space. Centre Court, as it's mentioned, have got 24-hour CCTV actively monitored on site. They are users of the Townlink radio scheme. In fact, actually, they host one of our antennas on their roof. And they are their representatives already actually signed up to attend our monthly pub watch meetings, which creates a community response to the nighttime economy. So by joining all of the nighttime economy venues together, that information is shared, but it also promotes activities such as Clean Sweep Wimbledon, which we encourage participants, all nighttime economy, to sort of clean up after their activities, but also initiatives such as Ask Angela and the Safe Women's Nighttime Charter. So Wimbledon Town Centre businesses, in our opinion, need to be encouraged to think differently, to provide a different offer. And we believe that the Queen's Road Market actually provides a welcome alternative to the other venues in the Wimbledon Town Centre area for an evening time economy. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, are there any questions for Lindsay or Thomas or Helen, who have just been? Councillor Makin.
Mute.
Want to unmute, Councillor Makin? Thank you.
Presumably you have seen this letter from a resident objecting to various things. Could you explain your view on that?
I've actually spoken to the resident in person, and I understand that her objections are less about the licence and more about the outdoor space. She's lived in Queen's Road, as I understand it, for quite a long time, and you know, she's got accustomed to it being in the way it is. I appreciate that, and I have actually looked at some of the things. You know, we're installing a ramp in that space so that there's a bit of better access. At the moment, we have made sure that where our benches are, you can still get use a walkway under the colonnade for buggies and wheelchairs. And so there are some of the things. I went downstairs this morning and I measured between the nearest street furniture to the tree to make sure there is enough space, as some of the things that she's mentioned. But realistically, you know, I think the objection comes from her not wanting a change in the space on that road. Obviously, we want to enliven the shopping centre, draw in potential new occupiers that can come into the centre, which benefits the town as a whole as well. And so we do need to make small changes. We're still very respectful of it being a pavement and a walkway, and we want to create a nice environment, but at the same time, we do need to implement change in the shopping centre in order to attract new tenants into the shopping centre, and to make, you know, Centre Court needs a bit of revitalising. Obviously, it's just been bought by Romulus, which is Rob and Jamie on, and they want to do things with the shopping centre because it has become a bit dormant in the town centre. And because of that, because the shopping centre is not the most exciting place in the world to go to, that then impacts the whole of the town centre. And so we need to be doing things like this in order to bring a bit of life back. You know, that's why we've not pushed. We're not trying to stay open until 2 a.m. and become a bar or somewhere where it's a public nuisance. We just want to create a space that means that people can come in. That's why it's open from both entrances, because it's not just to add a bar to somewhere, it's to bring life to that shopping centre and to Queen's Road in general, and to kind of test that area to try and create opportunities for people to take, for example, the Debenhams unit, because that Queen's Road has become a place of interest as well. Debenhams in itself, even when it was here, sorry, I've worked in Centre Court now for about 4.5 years, but even when Debenhams was there, it was a struggle to get people to go back to the mall because Debenhams hasn't been doing well for very long anyway. So one of the things that we can do to try and fill that unit, which we all want, I can imagine you guys living locally, that everyone wants Centre Court to be more interesting. And another way that we can do that and incentivize retailers is by creating that different sort of space where we can drive footfall from Queen's Road. And so that's kind of where this initiative has come from. So yeah, that's probably all I've got to say, but I do appreciate her point of view, but I've had an enormous amount of positive feedback from local residents. I've got email documentation from some of them who have sent really lovely things about coming to the space and enjoying it. We've already, you know, we've been open 2 weeks, and we've already got regulars who just, and they're generally like families that come on a Saturday lunchtime, or they're sort of a middle-aged couple that come and they have a couple of drinks and watch a bit of tennis, or they watch a bit of the football, and it's a really lovely environment. We're not trying to create a pub, we're trying to create a space where people can come and eat, and it doesn't matter what age you are, it's attracting that sort of family market as well.
Thank you, Lucy.
Thank you very much. It would have been helpful if you sent in some of the positive comments, because one of the problems we always get on this side is we only hear the negativities.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I should have done that.
Okay. I just have a quick question myself. I mean, it's good to hear the positive feedback, and obviously we've received a concerned residents' representation. In terms of the large screens that you have and with relation to music, you haven't actually applied for licenses for extra music and so on. So does that mean that you're not going to be showing and having any of these things actually outdoors? I mean,
yeah,
all the music or whatever will be internally, and there won't be too much noise emanating out, because that's obviously one of the concerns as well.
So we had an agreement with, when we had our consultation with the police, who came down and walked through the area with us, we agreed to not have any TVs outside, which was part of our initial plan.
Yeah.
And so they're all inside. We do have live music, but there is a stage inside. It's not there at the moment because we've because of COVID of the space, but as soon as we can have that space back to put, we're going to have a stage, but it will be inside.
Okay, thank you.
And it's live music is until 8 p.m. It's not any later.
Yeah. Okay, right. Can I just I've seen Guy Bishop, our legal advisor, wishes to.
Yeah, just to clarify that live music screens, those sort of things, they're now deregulated. So whilst they're still on the form, we don't necessarily need to look at them or consider.
Okay, thank you.
So that helps helps that one. So they can do that without breaching any license conditions or licensing act requirements.
Okay. Helen, did I see you indicating?
Yes, I just wanted to feed into Lindsay's comments there. And this is about activating a dead area of town. It's not about a nightclub environment. It's not about an area where people are planning to get excessively drunk, for example. The music would be background music to create an ambiance. So we're not talking about your classic pub environment, and actually it is an area of town that is commercial frontage. It does not impact directly upon residents in that immediate area. So it's a completely different approach. And I think their application here is a responsible way forward to looking at how we can actually utilize the town centre in a slightly different way. Potentially appealing to a more mature audience, frankly. speaking as someone who has been and has enjoyed it and has grey hair to prove it.
not from it.
Sorry, not from it.
I have a slight clarification that sort of follows that, which may help committee understand things. Is it the case that anybody consuming or buying alcohol, both I should say, will always be eating food?
No, the two are the two aren't. Yeah, I mean, the idea is that you can eat and you can not drink, or you can drink and you can not eat. But no, I mean, I actually had this conversation with Helen the other day, because I was like, look how well that worked in COVID in December. You know, we don't want to have to enforce rules for people to eat and drink. If they want to drink, they have to eat.
But just to clarify, you did say that everyone has to be sat down at a table.
Yeah, they do.
Table, yeah, not necessarily table service. Is it table service? Did you say?
It's table service. Yeah.
Table service. Okay, so
Even
so
the only thing that's not, so you get table service with the food,
yeah,
as well. So you can order from one of the waiters, and they will order the food as well. But you can also, I mean, a lot of the police come over and get their lunch at the food vendors. So the food vendors, you can just go up and get food and leave.
Yeah, that's what I saw. So you can go and get your whatever it is, panini or whatever from one of the vendors, and then
yeah, but you can't do that with drink. You have to be sitting down.
Yeah, and you're not selling the alcohol at the panini provider or whatever in the pop-up. So that's
all of the alcohol is inside.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, do my colleagues have any other any other questions? No. Do we have any other questions to the applicant? Okay. Okay, so now we don't have a presentation from the interested party who's the local resident. You know, they have submitted, even sort of overnight and so on, some extra documentation, which I hope colleagues have had a chance to look at with pictures and so on. I think actually the earlier plan was probably helpful in some of that respect. So we obviously can't question her. So can I call on the licensing officer for any further comments or clarification?
I've got no further comments to add, Chair.
Okay, thank you for that. And Guy, our legal advisor?
No further comment apart from just reminding you about the plan for the outside area. If that could be obviously corrected and sent in properly. If you could do that today, that would be very helpful.
Yeah, do I just send that to licensing?
If you send that to Caroline, that'd be fine.
Okay, yep, fine.
Thank you. As I think that, yeah, and if you could show on that the
the fire exit, yeah, fine.
We need to show that it's an entrance and exit now.
Yeah, I think we need that, but thank you for that. Okay, so do we have any closing statements now? I think that's really the point. Lindsay, do you have?
I mean, I felt like I gave quite a good statement about 5 minutes ago. No, I don't have anything further to say. I mean, I think I've said everything I can say, and I really hope that you get the vision. Thomas, have you got anything you want to say?
Pretty much think you cover most of the areas. Like Lindsay has reiterated before, we only opened 2 weeks ago and we have had some fantastic feedback. Me personally, I'm from the event industry, so I do events for a living. And this is the first one that I've been able to be part of, that's part of a community where we can get people that we know by first names come to site on a regular basis and get to enjoy their company, rather than people that were just, tourism or et cetera. And we hope that we can carry on doing it, because like Lindsay has stated before, Romulus and Centre Court have got some amazing things that hopefully will be coming soon to Centre Court, and this is a bridgestone for the rest yet to come. And the point of this unit from the very, very, very beginning was to create a new walkway to that shopping centre. The bar and the street food just come separate. I wish we could show you some pictures of, you know, the before and afters of what we have been able to achieve, and hopefully one day some of you will be able to come down and actually see it personally yourselves, because I think you'll be pleasantly surprised of what we are trying to do and what we don't want to become. Me as a designated premises supervisor and a personal license holder always on site, will keep going in that direction of what we originally set out to do. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rob, do you want to say anything? You're okay. Just from a Romulus perspective. You're on mute, Rob. I can't hear you. So is it a no?
Do you have anything further to add there?
No, that's fine. Good.
Lovely. Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you, everyone. I think we've come to the end of the main body of this particular meeting. We'll now be going to retire into a closed session, to which I invite the legal officer and clerk to join us to provide any advice. And once I've closed this hearing, our clerk will disconnect you from the meeting room, but we will be informing applicants and all parties present with a written copy of the decision notice within 5 working days. So thank you all very much for joining us, and we'll, as I say, be in touch.